Hello, and welcome to our podcast episode number 14, dealing with the Devil's Book and a Mysterious Woman. I'm Thomas, and I am here with my friend Timothy. Today, we are going to discuss a film called The Ninth Gate. The Ninth Gate is a 1999 neo-noir horror thriller film directed by Roman Polanski about Dean Corso, a rare book dealer who is hired to authenticate a 17th century book that allegedly contains magical secrets for summoning the devil. As he travels around the world to inspect other copies of the book and consult with experts, he becomes entangled in a dangerous conspiracy involving murder and Satanism. So, Tim, did you like The Ninth Gate?
Well, Tom, I found it passable. The film had some interesting ideas, but overall I thought it dragged on for too long without any real payoff. It felt more like a convoluted mystery than an outright horror thriller, which was somewhat disappointing given the premise.
I see your point there, Timothy. While I agree that the film wasn't exactly scary or suspenseful, I think it did manage to maintain my interest throughout its runtime. The plot unfolded at a steady pace, and I appreciated how Polanski blurred the lines between reality and fantasy. It kept me guessing until the end.
Oh, well, I can appreciate that it wasn't boring at least, but personally, I found the story to be convoluted and confusing at times. There were too many characters running around with unclear motives, and I didn't feel any real connection to Dean Corso or his journey. It was more like watching a series of events unfold than being immersed in an engaging narrative.
But that's where you're wrong, Tim. I think the deliberate ambiguity was part of the film's charm. We're not supposed to understand everything that's happening. That's what makes it intriguing. As for Corso, I found his character arc rather compelling. He starts off as a cynical, opportunistic book dealer and gradually evolves into someone who's more morally conflicted and open-minded about the supernatural.
Well, I guess we'll have to agree to disagree on that one. But speaking of characters, I thought Johnny Depp did an admirable job portraying Corso. He had this air of nonchalance that suited the character well. And what about Frank Langella as Boris Balkan? Didn't you think he was excellent in his role?
Yes, I agree about Johnny Depp. He brought a certain charm to the character, despite being somewhat underwhelming at times. As for Frank Langella, he certainly did a great job playing the enigmatic and manipulative Boris Balkan. His performance was both menacing and alluring, which added depth to his character.
Well, we can't talk about Boris Balkan without mentioning his role in the story. He serves as Corso's main antagonist and is deeply involved in the satanic conspiracy surrounding the Ninth Gate. His motivations are shrouded in mystery until the end, which adds to his menace. I found it interesting how he manipulates both Corso and the mysterious woman known as Liana Telfer throughout the film.
Yes, absolutely. Balkan is definitely one of the most fascinating characters in the film. His obsession with the book and its power drives him to extreme lengths, even at the risk of his own life. And speaking of Liana Telfer, I thought her character added an interesting dynamic to the story. She's initially introduced as someone who could potentially help Corso, but quickly reveals herself to be more dangerous than anyone else he encounters.
That's true. Her character does serve as a catalyst for some of the most intense moments in the film. I also found it intriguing how her relationship with Boris Balkan unfolds throughout the story. They seem to be partners in crime at first, but it becomes apparent that she has her own agenda and isn't entirely loyal to him.
Exactly. Their relationship is quite complex, and it's hard to tell who's really pulling the strings in their little game of cat and mouse with Corso. The way they both manipulate him for their own ends shows that they're not just passive pawns either. They're active participants in this twisted power struggle centered around the Ninth Gate.
Said Tom. I think the film does a great job exploring themes of obsession, greed, and the human desire for power at any cost. It also touches upon some existential questions about morality and the nature of reality. These themes are woven into the narrative quite seamlessly, which contributes to its overall intrigue.
I completely agree with you there, Timothy. The Ninth Gate is a film that requires multiple viewings to fully appreciate all its nuances. It's one of those films where every detail seems important, even if it doesn't become clear until later on. And the way Polanski directs each scene is simply masterful. He creates an atmosphere of unease and tension that keeps you engaged throughout the entire runtime.
Indeed. The visual style of the film is also quite striking. From its moody lighting to its eerie camera angles, everything contributes to the overall sense of dread and uncertainty that pervades the narrative. It's a testament to Polanski's skill as a director and his ability to create such a rich cinematic experience out of what could have been just another horror thriller.
Well said, Tim. In conclusion, while we may have differing opinions about certain aspects of The Ninth Gate, there's no denying that it's an engaging and thought-provoking film. Its complex characters, intricate plot, and masterful direction make it a standout entry in the neo-noir horror genre. I think this movie will continue to be discussed and analyzed by cinephiles for years to come.
Absolutely. The score for The Ninth Gate is absolutely haunting and adds so much depth to the film's already dark atmosphere. Composed by Wojciech Kilar, the music perfectly captures the sense of impending doom that lingers throughout the movie. It's a masterful blend of orchestral arrangements and choral elements that create an unsettling yet alluring soundscape.
I couldn't agree more, Timothy. The score really sets the tone for the film and complements its visual style beautifully. There are moments in the movie where Kilar's music takes center stage, like during the scene where Corso is first introduced to Balkan's satanic temple, or when he discovers the true nature of Liana Telfer. Those compositions are truly chilling and stay with you long after the credits roll.
One of my favorite tracks from the soundtrack is the ninth configuration, which plays over the movie's opening credits. The slow, ominous buildup creates this sense of foreboding that carries through to the rest of the film. It's almost as if Kilar is warning the audience that they're about to embark on a dark and twisted journey into the depths of human depravity.
Another standout moment for me is when Corso first encounters Boris Balkan at his lavish party. The music swells as they engage in their intense conversation, adding an air of tension and intrigue to their initial meeting. It really sets up the dynamic between these two characters and hints at the dangerous game they're both playing throughout the course of the film.
I think one of Kilar's greatest strengths as a composer is his ability to create music that's both beautiful and unsettling at the same time. The score for The Ninth Gate perfectly captures this dichotomy with its haunting melodies and eerie orchestrations. It's a testament to Kilar's skill as an artist that he could create such a powerful soundscape for a film like this one.
Absolutely. The music in The Ninth Gate is truly a character unto itself, driving the narrative forward and adding layers of complexity to the already rich tapestry of themes and motifs woven throughout the film. It's no wonder that the soundtrack has become such an enduring element of the movie's legacy.
Well, said Tom, in conclusion, Wojciech Kilar's score for The Ninth Gate is a masterclass in creating unsettling and atmospheric music that complements the visual elements of a film perfectly. It's an essential part of what makes this movie such a captivating and chilling viewing experience.
Well said, Tim. And speaking of the film's cast, they truly brought these complex characters to life. Johnny Depp, as we mentioned earlier, did a fantastic job portraying Corso with his signature charm and nonchalance. He manages to make us root for the character despite some questionable decisions he makes throughout the story.
Yes, Absolutely. I think one of the most interesting aspects of Depp's performance is how he balances Corso's cynicism with moments of genuine emotion and vulnerability. It's these subtle shifts in his character that make him such an engaging protagonist to follow on this dark journey into the depths of human depravity.
And then there's Frank Langella as Boris Balkan, who is simply mesmerizing in his role. His ability to exude both menace and charm at the same time is truly remarkable. There's a certain allure about him that makes it easy to see why characters like Corso and Liana Telfer would be drawn into his web of deceit and manipulation.
I couldn't agree more, Tom. Langella really brings an air of sophistication and danger to the character of Boris Balkan. His performance is both chilling and captivating at the same time, which adds a lot of depth to what could have been a one-dimensional villain role.
And let's not forget about Liana Telfer, played by the enigmatic and alluring Barbara Jefford. She brings a sense of mystery and intrigue to her character that keeps us guessing about her true motivations throughout the film. Her interactions with both Corso and Balkan are charged with tension and sexuality, adding an interesting layer to their complex relationships.
That's very true. Jefford does an excellent job playing the femme fatale in the story. Her character is as dangerous as she is seductive, which makes her all the more fascinating to watch on screen. The way she manipulates both Corso and Balkan shows that she's not just a passive pawn in AM, their twisted power struggle over the Ninth Gate.
Well said, Tim. In conclusion, the cast of the Ninth Gate did an incredible job bringing these complex characters to life, from Johnny Depp's portrayal of Dean Corso to Frank Langella and Barbara. Jefford's chilling performances as Boris Balkan and Liana Telfer. Each actor added their own unique touch to this dark and twisted tale. Their captivating performances are a testament to the skill and dedication of the entire cast and crew involved in this film.
Now, Tom, I'd like to discuss the screenplay for The Ninth Gate and how it contributes to the film's overall effectiveness as a neo-noir horror thriller. The movie is adapted from Arturo Perez Reverti's 1993 novel, The Club Domas, which was in a turn inspired by Alexandre Dumas's 1845 novel, The Three Musketeers. How do you think the transition from page to screen affected the story and its themes?
Well, Timothy, I actually haven't read Perez Revert's novel yet, but from what I understand, Polanski made some significant changes to the source material while adapting it for the screen. He streamlined the narrative, cut out some characters and subplots, and shifted the focus more heavily onto the themes of obsession and moral ambiguity. As for how this affected the story and its themes, I think Polanski did an excellent job preserving the essence of Perez Revert's work while making it more accessible and visually engaging for a wider audience.
That's very true, Tom. Polanski has always been known for his distinct visual style and his ability to craft tense, atmospheric thrillers. The way he directed the film with its moody lighting, eerie camera angles, and haunting score certainly contributes to the overall sense of dread and uncertainty that pervades the narrative. What are some of your favorite scenes from a directing standpoint in The Ninth Gate?
Oh, there are so many. One scene that really stands out for me is when Corso first encounters Balkan at his lavish party. The way Polanski stages the scene with its slow panning shots and close-ups on their faces creates this intense sense of anticipation and unease. You can feel the tension between these two characters from the very beginning, and it's a master class in directing actors and building suspense. Another favorite scene is when Corso discovers the true nature of Liana Telfer during their meeting at a cafe. The way Polanski uses shadows and reflections to heighten the sense of disorientation and paranoia is really effective, and it adds an extra layer of tension to what's already a pivotal moment in the film. Lastly, I think the final scene where Corso confronts Balkan at his satanic temple is just brilliant. The way Polanski stages this climactic showdown with its intense close-ups and ominous music creates an incredibly powerful visual experience that stays with you long after the credits roll. It's a testament to his skills as both a director and storyteller that he can create such memorable scenes out of what could have been just another horror thriller.
Well, said Tom, you're absolutely right about Polanski's skill as a director and storyteller. His ability to create such memorable scenes really elevates The Ninth Gate above your typical horror thriller. Now, let's shift our focus to the cultural impact of this film. It's been more than 2 decades since its release, yet The Ninth Gate continues to captivate audiences and inspire discussions about its themes and symbolism. What do you think makes this movie so enduring in popular culture?
I think there are several factors that contribute to the cultural impact of The Ninth Gate. Firstly, it's a film that deals with some very dark and taboo subject matter, such as Satanism, occult rituals, and human depravity. These themes have always held a certain allure for audiences, as they offer a glimpse into the depths of human nature that are often suppressed or ignored in mainstream culture. Secondly, I think the film's visual style and atmosphere are incredibly influential. The neo-noir elements combined with the haunting score create an immersive experience that stays with viewers long after they've seen the movie. This atmospheric quality is something that other filmmakers have drawn inspiration from in their own work, which only adds to the film's legacy. Finally, I think The Ninth Gate has enduring appeal because of its complex characters and moral ambiguity. As audiences, we're never quite sure who to root for or what the right course of action is, which keeps us engaged and thinking about the story long after it's over. This ambiguity is something that resonates with viewers on a deep level, as it reflects our own struggles with morality and the choices we make in life.
Absolutely. The film's themes of obsession, greed, and moral corruption are timeless and universal. They transcend specific cultural contexts and speak to audiences on a primal level. I also think that the use of iconic literary works like The Three Musketeers as a framework for the story adds an additional layer of aim, depth, and intrigue. It's this blending of classic themes with modern sensibilities that makes The Ninth Gate such an enduring classic in AM horror thriller genre.
Well said, Tim. In conclusion, The Ninth Gate has had a significant cultural impact due to its provocative themes, atmospheric visual style, and complex characters. It's a film that continues to inspire discussion and debate about the nature of morality, obsession, and the darker aspects of human experience. As we've seen with other cult classics like The Shining or Rosemary's Baby, there's no doubt that The Ninth Gate will remain an essential part of horror film canon for years to come.
Absolutely. In conclusion, The Ninth Gate is a hauntingly beautiful film that delves into the darkest corners of human nature. It's a testament to Polanski's skills as both a director and storyteller that he was able to adapt Perez Revert's novel so effectively while retaining its essence. The movie is visually stunning with an atmospheric score that perfectly complements the eerie visuals. The performances by Depp, Langella, and Jefford are nothing short of brilliant, adding layers of depth and complexity to their characters. It's a film that will stay with you long after the credits roll, leaving you questioning the nature of morality, obsession, and the darker aspects of human experience.
I couldn't agree more, Tim. If you haven't seen The Ninth Gate yet, we highly recommend giving it a watch. It's a movie that demands to be experienced and dissected. As always, we appreciate your comments, subscriptions, and likes on our videos, so don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more engaging discussions about films both classic and contemporary. And if you have any suggestions for future podcast topics or films you'd like us to review, feel free to leave a comment below. Until next time, happy viewing and stay spooky.